Good morning. My name is Miguel Socorro, and today I'm gonna be talking about, if not the most important, one of the most important events in the history of this country, the United States. And you may already know what's gonna come out of my mouth because the Civil War is something that we all have very present, but we don't know how it started or the early details of this war. That without this war, the United States may be a total different country right now. But that's something that I'm gonna talk about later. Today, right now, I wanna focus on the on how this war started, and the early battles of this war. This happened, back in April of 1861, so how many years ago? A lot, and we have to learn this. We have to learn this because a country that does not learn the history of itself, it can't repeat it, and we don't want this to happen again. But I'm sure that this will happen again because, I just, that's my personal opinion, but that's not the main topic right now. The Civil War, how did it start, right? So we have the Confederate States, right? And they took over federal property in the South, especially the forts, right? And this happened, as I mentioned before, in April of 1861, right? So I talk about the Confederate States, and the Confederacy demanded that the Union surrender Fort Sumter in Charleston Harbor, right? But President Lincoln at the time, one of the best presidents in the history of the country, he didn't want to abandon the fort. He refused, and he sent only food for the people there in the fort. And before that, in March of 1861, the Confederacy attacked the fort, and in response of that, President Lincoln decided to go to war. So after all of this mess happened, we already knew we were already in the Civil War. The Civil War already had started, right? And the remainder, as we all know, the slave states, they had to decide on which side they had to go to. We learned that Virginia, right? Virginia and 3 other states joined the Confederacy, and only 4 slave states remained in the Union. And those slave states that remained in the Union were Maryland, Kentucky, Delaware, and Missouri. So that was the start of the war, right? And now we're gonna talk a little bit. So the Northerns and Confederates, they expected a short and glorious war, that this was gonna be better, and in reality, the North had many more advantages, over the South. It's if I don't know, right now the Rams played the Dolphins or something like that in football. They were way more advantages over the South because the North have more people, they have more factories, more food production, better railroads, and most importantly, they had a very good leader, which was Lincoln. So that they had more resources, as I just mentioned them. But the South also had really good things, and they had good advantages. They had better generals and soldiers, and they had a lot of passion and a lot of eager to defend their people and their land, and obviously the land of the South people. And the North needed to conquer Southern territory to win this war, right? So the North had to come up with a plan, and this was known as the Anaconda Plan. right? And it's funny because this plan is called because a snake that suffocate its victims by squeezing them. So this is how the plan was called like that. So the first step that the North had in this plan was to block the southern ports in order to keep out supplies from the south, and to split the Confederacy in two at the Mississippi River, and then to capture the Confederate capital of Richmond, Virginia. And so those were the three steps of the Anaconda Plan. And with this step, the Confederates won the first battle of the war, which was the Bull Run, and it was only 25 miles away from Washington D.C. And the winning Southern general was Stonewall Jackson, and he got this nickname Stonewall because he was very strong, he was firm, and he was a really good general and an example for everyone in the South. So this was the first this is really how the war started, and the first battle, and we go from there.